A Disabled Person reviews Disabled Meteor Part 80C. This is an Apple TV show that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where everybody is blind and the concept of sight is seen as heresy and witchcraft. The concept itself is really fascinating, and there was clearly a lot of effort put into the world building, but not always in the best of directions. They had less than a handful of actually blind and low vision actors involved, none of which plays series regulars, which means that the vast majority of the cast of this show is paid to act blind. And the opening of the show that tells you the premise of the thing is just text on screen. There's no voiceover, which as a show about blind people is a choice. I think the show itself thought it was showing the capability of blind and low vision people and that they had alternative forms of communication. They had full societies and armies and all these things. But then narratively, it focused on the idea that blindness is somewhat primitive while sight is advancement and the future. And that in their culture, they believed that they were all made blind as religious punishment from God for what mankind was doing to the world. So even if they claim to be positive about their blindness, the story doesn't show that at all. With the exception of really leaning hard on the trope of somebody without one sense, therefore superpower level abilities in other senses, which is also an issue. But what really stuck out to me the whole time is that this concept is a folktale in the deaf community. It's called Earth, like Earth, but with eye instead of ear. And the idea is a world where everybody is deaf, and some babies happen to be born hearing, but they're the odd ones out, and they are the minority culture forced to conform to deaf culture. And I think this show would have been a lot more successful if it had borrowed from that story a bit and recognized its place within the disability cultural narrative, rather than just the blind cultural narrative. Also, just anthropologically and linguistically, the way that they viewed the world through language over centuries should have changed infinitely more than what we see in the show, and I think it would have been really interesting to dive into. But they focused, ironically, more on the visuals of creating a blind culture rather than the cultural norms of it, all while not actually centering blind people. Also, if you choose to watch the show, the credits are kind of flashy, just a heads up.